So as a vegetarian, you see, this was something like serve yourself canteen. So all sorts of things are on the counter. You pick up what you want. So I picked up a lot of boiled vegetables. There was also boiled rice, and then bread, milk, and so on. I took a few of them as required, and I ate. That is what I did at that particular meal. Then I found ice cream was available. There was a long line for it. So I stood in that line, and when my turn came, that girl at the counter said, "You had it, chap." I said, "I didn't have it." Then she explained to me, if I say I had it, it means you don't have it.
Because it was
That is an idiom. You had it means you had it. Thus, you don't have it. Like that, for example, I went to next day to the shop to buy a bottle of ink. So I went to the shop and asked him, "Can I have a swanning bottle?" That fellow asked me, "Do you want an ink bottle or a bottle of ink?" So I had to tell him, I need a bottle of ink. Then you say so. So I started learning a lot of the English, the idiom, which I was not aware of. Anyway, I went to the class on the first day. I was telling you about the lunch. After the lunch, in the evening at 7 o'clock, there was dinner in the hostel, in the dining room. There used to be 10 tables in the hall and a slightly elevated platform on which the warden used to ask some select students to come and join him for dinner. And I was in the 10th table. I took along with me the South pudding and ghee. In every meal in England in those days, I don't know about now, but there mashed potato used to be served.
staple.
So I used that in place of rice. And I used to eat a lot of mashed potato with soft pudi and then have the dessert and a glass of milk. Now I wanted to be a vegetarian. They would not give me more than, in the hostel, they would not give me more than about 2 spoons or 3 spoons of milk to make 2 cups of tea. But at least I must have milk and cheese and butter, things like that. They were all ration. So when I asked for these things, I was told I must get a medical certificate that I am a vegetarian because of medical requirements. So I went to the university doctor and told him I want to be a vegetarian. They want a certificate like this. Then he said, "Yeah, you are from Madras, is it?" Yes. You are a Brahmin. Yes. I know you fellows. He was in the Indian Medical Service. He retired from Indian Medical Service and now working as a doctor in the Southampton University College Hospital. He said, "I will give you the certificate." He gave me a certificate. With that certificate, I was getting 2 pints of milk a day and about 3/4 of a pound cheese per week and a lot of butter and all that. And with my ration card and with this permit, the hostel kitchen used to deliver all those things to me every day. Once a week cheese, every day so much butter, and then 2 bottles of milk. Now the other fellows were all carrying a small, at the bottom of a cup a little milk, and here I was carrying 2 pints of milk. They asked me, how did you manage? I told them, "You fellows, you eat all sorts of things, I don't eat any of those." So I have been given this. But in the first 3 months of my stay in England, with this sort of diet and so
Put on weight.
I put on 28 pounds weight. Everything was bulging, my shirt had become tight. Uh, but I maintained that weight and throughout my stay in England. At the end of some 3 months, I made very good friends with all my classmates. We used to move very close. We hardly about 8 of us. And at the end of the first quarter, like in India, actually it is British who gave us this system. There was a quarterly exam. And I did very well in that exam. So the professor asked me, he was earlier in Cambridge, and he was a German Jew who migrated from Germany before the war. He took up a job in the Cambridge University, and when the University College Southampton started the electronics course, he was appointed, his name was Zeppler, he was appointed professor there. So at the end of the quarter, he saw my performance in the exam, and he asked me, they used to call me Chris. Chris, I always thought you fellows don't study when you come here. But I thought you have done very well in the exam. And I told him, sir, there are 2 types of Indians who come to this country. One are the very rich fellows who won't have a nice holiday and they can pretend to be students. Those people don't study. But there are others, more serious like me, who come here to learn and go back and do some work in my country. So we have to study to justify the expenditure. Anyway, I did fairly well throughout my course there. But I noticed one thing, there was a lecturer also, along with the professor, there was a lecturer, Mr. Punnett. He was he seemed to have had a lot of racial prejudice and dark-skinned fellows. So he would not give me many marks. Although I did well in his papers also. So actually, I think I just missed a first class by a few marks because of him. But anyway, I was number 2 in the class of 10. One man got first class. One person, I got the second class. All the others were in the third class. They just scraped through. I finished the Southampton course. In the meanwhile, what happened in 1948, there was police action in India. I used that as an excuse to apply to the India High Commission in England, saying that my father was supposed to support me during my stay in England. But it has so happened, 2 of my brothers who were in Hyderabad, working there, they had to come away from Hyderabad, giving up their jobs. So their families have become dependent upon my father. So he is not able to support me anymore. I need some financial help. There was a Professor Sundaram as an education advisor. So I met him and gave him this story. Although my father never asked me, but I just thought, take advantage of the police action and see what happens. Meanwhile, my father himself had approached the Madras government. He approached the Madras government. He said, he has sent his son abroad. He would like some financial assistance. Gopal Reddy was the finance minister. He gave an ad hoc grant of 2,000 rupees to my father to support me. In that time, they also seem to have corresponded with the India High Commission and found that I also had applied for an assistance. So this 2,000 rupees was in reply to his request and my request put together. And my father also approached the Maharaja of Vijayanagaram. And he gave another 2,000 rupees. So actually my father got about 4,000 rupees to support me from the Maharaja of Vijayanagaram and the Madras government. What I spent, I would say, in that year, about 3,000 rupees on the hostel and fees and all that. 1,000 rupees for coming, and 4,000. Then in the summer of 1948, I went on a tour of Europe on a bicycle along with one of my classmates. He is an Englishman. He had a cycle. I didn't have a bicycle. So his sister gave me his bicycle. So I had a lady's bicycle with me. Here was a dark map going on a lady's bicycle in France and Switzerland. It was a sight for them. That holiday cost me another 500 or 1,000 rupees. That also my father gave. At the end of that holiday, I got a job in England, in London, at a well-known, internationally known for EMI electronics development, as a development engineer. They started me on £7 a week. That was considered a very good salary at the time. And I stayed in Venkatachari was in London at the time. He arranged for me to stay with him in a paying guest accommodation. Because I was a vegetarian and he was also a vegetarian, that landlady charged us a little more than normal. She charged us £3.10 a week. That is half my salary for boarding and lodging both. That is, I would get my breakfast there, my dinner there, and I have myself. Lunch I will have to pay for at the factory where I was working. So like that I was there for about 18 months or so. Initially I was put on a defense project. I think the company did not realize at that time I am now a foreign national. So they put me on a defense project connected with development of rockets. The idea was to measure the velocity of the rocket as it moves. So they used the Doppler effect like this and wanted to make a radio transmitter and receiver and find out how much the Doppler shift is. From that calculate the velocity of the rocket at different stages. But some 6-7 months later, they suddenly transferred me to another section where there was no defense project. Then they moved me further also to another section. I didn't like the work I was doing there, so I wanted to come back. I didn't want to try any more jobs or anything. I wanted to come back.